Hey everybody, how's it going? It's me, Jay, the legendary 501st Captain Rex, and it is that time of year again. Our favorite blue hedgehog turns 33 years old. That's right, 33 years of giving Dr. Robotnik a run for his money. And to celebrate this occasion, I came up with a whole entire rewrite of the Sonic Prime series. Now, as you probably already saw from the intro, the actual Sonic Prime series was both loved and hated by the community for many different reasons. And in my opinion, the Knuckles series wasn't that bad, but whatever. Um, I decided to do a complete rewrite of Sonic Prime, hoping that someone out there would at least find it a bit more enjoyable than than what Netflix did. Because, well, we were kind of left on a cliffhanger of season 3. I thought I would make a season 4, but I ended up rushing to the last minute to get all of this done. And yeah, you'll probably find out if one part of the story is rushed or not. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started. Now, I kind of wish that I had the actual Sonic Prime. I would say theme song because I don't. Yeah, it's been a while since I watched it, but yeah, whatever. All right, let's start with season 1. Sonic Prime starts as normal. Sonic and the group discover the Paradox Prism in the Temple Mountain of the Green Hill Zone. After Eggman feigns a battle with a remote-controlled Egg Crusher playing at Sonic's bond with Tails, Rouge tells Sonic and the Sonic team about the prism, and Sonic prepares by collecting a couple rings should he need them. Shadow interferes after collecting a Chaos Emerald and seeing Sonic initiate the Shatter event through the Chaos Emerald's foresight ability. He tries to stop Sonic while Sonic's friends fight Eggman, but unfortunately, Shadow fails to stop Sonic, and Sonic causes the Shatter events, which in turn kills Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and Rouge, splitting them into the many alternate versions of themselves throughout the Paradox Prism. Shadow dodges with Chaos Control and sees the Shatter Void for the first time and angrily chases down Sonic and begrudgingly helps him along the way for the foreseeable future. Sonic enters New York City for the first time and begins to think he is in some sort of joke, thinking that there's no way Eggman could have won or gotten the prism. When he sees New York City is really Green Hill Zone, he panics and tries his hardest to find Tails, or at least some semblance of Tails. He runs into Ninetales and the two come to blows. After saving Nine's life, Sonic explains who he is and who Nine was meant to be. Nine denies that he ever was called Tails and explains his origin. Sonic tries to empathize with Nine and the two become acquaintances. Yeah. I almost read the same line twice. I'm sorry. Nine analyzes Sonic's energy and realizes that the same energy that Sonic is now outputting is the same energy that runs New York City. He gives Sonic the prism buffs, which regulate his energy, and customizes his shoes and gloves depending on the zone he is currently sitting in. And the two get a surprise from the Chaos Council through Rusty Rose. Renegade Knuckles and Rebel Rouge later save Sonic and Nine, but are quickly overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of the Chaos Council's robots. Since Sonic was a non-person in New York City, Mr. Dr. Eggman, the leader of the Chaos Council, wondered if previous research into the portal technology he had for interdimensional travel was correct, but brushed it off as sheer coincidence. Experiments were run on Sonic and the other three were interrogated. When Sonic inadvertently created a gateway, Shadow spoke to Sonic, revealing that quote unquote it is all broken. Sonic got motion sick and passed out after the energy discharge sent out an EMP wave that shut down the Chaos Council's technology, Rusty Rose, and the security drones outside. Renegade Knuckles broke out and freed Rouge and Nine, and they made a push for Sonic. Nine had to scrap his mechanical tails in the process, which was a bit painful since Knuckles ripped them off his back. And to further expand on this, I had a headcanon that if Nine was able to control the mechanical tails, he would have had implants in his head and some kind of artificial nerves connected to each of the mechanical tails. So, yeah, that would be very painful. Reluctantly, Sonic had to leave Rusty behind after Rouge convinced him that she was lost to them long ago. After everyone gets introduced, Sonic gets formally introduced to the sad reality that is New York City. Rusty died a long time ago trying to save Knuckles and Rouge, and Nine was a recluse due to the world not giving him the respect he rightfully deserved. Sonic was heartbroken by the sudden intensity of the situation, and it got to him. He needed to get back home, yes, but he also had an obligation to stop the Chaos Council before they destroy anything else. The group decided to steal the Prism Shard in the Chaos Council's generator room, and after careful planning, their little scheme kind of worked. When they got to the generator and Sonic was about to touch the prism, Sonic was almost dragged in, and due to Nine's lack of strength, Sonic ended up getting thrust into the boss cage maze zone. When Sonic enters the boss cage maze, he is introduced to Prim, Mangy, Hangry, and Gnarly, all of which do not take Sonic's presence kindly. They perceive him as an enemy, and like the naive being he is, Mangy is quick to trust Sonic after he throws out one of the spears the scavengers have. A simple game of fetch was more than enough for the dog-like version of Tails to trust a complete and total stranger. After filling Sonic in on recent events in their world, Sonic aimed to get their relationship with Thorn Rose back together. He fails initially, thinking that Thorn would practically swoon for him like Amy always does, but not this time. The second time, he tells her of his adventures thus far, and she takes Sonic to the Big Green, a large palm tree, and also the name of a very funny Dragon Ball dub. And Sonic manages to dig out the shard from the ground, but Thorn had ulterior motives after witnessing the scavengers hurt the forest. Using the shard, she had full control of the forest and used it against Sonic. And Sonic attempted to stop her, but was forced back up to the other scavengers. After some careful convincing, Sonic manages to team up with the scavengers and subdue Thorn. Eventually, they overcame Thorn's newfound nature-controlled powers and made up, only for Mangy to piss near a tree, which he was punished for. When Sonic left the boss cage and returned to New York through the same prism warping, he found himself back in the Chaos Council's building, but he was intercepted by Rusty Rose, who once again captured Sonic. After being busted out by Nine, he reveals that Sonic has been gone for 1 whole year. Nine was now a wanted person thanks to his affiliation with Sonic and the Resistance, whose movement just took the Dr. Dunnett district. Nine and Sonic then used the captured prisms to power a cargo craft and make a portal to the barren dimension called the Grim, where Nine plans to remake it into his own world. After some convincing, Nine dropped Sonic back off at New York. Semi-aware of Nine's plans, Sonic destroys the Chaos Council's newest mech and saves Rebel and Renegade. He also noticed that some Resistance members turned tail and ran, and was beginning to doubt the strength of the rebellion. Sorry. Yeah, I'm good. He also noticed... Yeah, I already read that. After filling in Rebel and Renegade, Sonic and Nine used the prism to get Sonic out of another situation, believing that the Resistance can do without Sonic for another year. Sonic travels to No Place, or the Pirate Zone, where he almost drowns but washes up on a small island. After a comically long time on his face in the sand, Sonic wakes up with swords pointed to his face. That's when Baton Rouge, Sails, and Black Rose appeared. Unlike their canon selves, they aren't as welcoming. Dread Knuckles' legacy as a ruthless pirate is embedded within his crew. While he is compassionate with his mates, he doesn't take too well to outsiders. Sonic was threatened, but when backed into a corner, he defended himself against the trio before discovering his new shoe variants can float on water. After laughing at the pirates and himself, he was bitch smacked by Batten, who hogtied him in the dinghy and later brought him before Dread, who cut him loose before demanding who Sonic was. After Sonic got acquainted with the crew of the Angel, Dread's ship, Sonic was introduced to the concept of a sea dog, which is a chili dog with bell peppers and seafood spices rather than onions, cheese, and barbecue seasoning. Like a kid on Christmas, Sonic loved it. His only regret later on in life was not asking Dread for the recipe. As Sonic got to know the crew better, the Chaos Council sent the Egg Kraken into the pirate zone, finally mastering the technology Nine was previously researching. Before this, Nine was shot down and probed for information. This gave the Chaos Council what they needed to conquer reality. After a declaration of conquering by Rusty Rose, she demands to speak with the captain. Much to Dread's disappointment, Batten later pointed out that Sonic was now captain. Rusty then wished she was programmed to laugh at the utter stupidity of Sonic leading a crew of primitives. When the attack started, Sonic tried and failed to rally his new crew, only to be reminded by Dread that they weren't really combat trained. After a brief and pointless battle, Sonic and the pirates got away from the Council's forces and managed to deduce that they were after the prism, which Dread was also after. Dread told Sonic how he and his first mate, Septic-eyed Jack, tried to find the prism, only for Jack to betray Dread, seeing the prism as not worth it when half the crew almost died. With the help of Sails adding boosters to Dread's ship and light taunting in Rusty Rose's direction, the pirates secured the prism, which once again sucked Sonic back into the void, where he met Shadow, who angrily attacked him, cursing Sonic about why home no longer exists. All right, we're going to take a short break so that I can get some water in before I start coughing again. Like, I don't know how long this cough has been there. But yeah, we'll be right back. And we're back. All right. All right. Season 2. After fighting Shadow in the span of an hour and a half, Sonic quickly realized that Shadow is the real Shadow and not some alternate version of Shadow. Unbeknownst to Sonic or anyone at the time, Shadow does not exist in the Shadowverse because Shadow wasn't caught in the blast. The blast in the Shatter event that killed Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and Rouge split them into the alternate versions of themselves. And because Shadow dodged with Chaos Control, he was unaffected. But this also cost him the ability to travel through other dimensions, except his home dimension, which is now called the Dead Hill Zone, or the Ghost Hill. When he brings Sonic to this realm, Shadow explains his theory of how this zone came to be. It was destroyed in the Shatter event, killing off Tails and the others. When it dawned on Sonic that the apparitions of his friends on the beach were nothing more than soulless phantoms acting on a broken record, it broke his heart, and he decided to team up with Shadow to save his world. But this resulted in another fight due to disagreements on the idea that Nine and the other Shatterspace residents were also soulless phantoms of Sonic's friends. Shadow took Sonic's prism buffs and tried to escape his own zone after the other prism and go after the other prisms, thinking that since Sonic got them into this mess, Shadow would drag him out. Shadow fails to even breach a barrier to one of the gateways while chasing the Chaos Council, almost bringing him to a grim end in the void. He is saved by Sonic and annoyed that he is reduced to being nothing more than a cameo for the next set of missions. Sonic travels to the boss cage where he helps the scavengers destroy the Chaos Council's invading forces, using the boss cage prism to restore what has been cut down. Thorn and Prim did not take lightly to the bullcrap Sonic brought to their world, and they were somewhat glad they got rid of it. In Sonic's mind, he tried to figure out what was going on. The Chaos Council wouldn't attack here randomly unless it were a distraction. Sonic would be too slow to reach the next target, No Place, which the Council wanted to make a floating city above the water. After another close call from Rusty Rose and attempted to convince her that the Council was evil, they repel the Council's forces, but behind the scenes, Nine is forced to work on a Council Black project, a copy of Sonic that can outthink and outsmart him. This would also factor into Nine's thinking process in Season 3 and what his minions would do. After driving back the Chaos Council from No Place, Rusty Rose retreats back to New York while being chased by Sonic, in which both of them end up in a supply closet. After some back and forth, they find the light and discover that Rusty was replicated and mass produced. It finally dawned on Rusty that the council would replace her if she failed, and after the two finally joined forces, they would return to the Resistance after saving Nine, where Rebel is about to make one final play at the Chaos Council. She amassed all Resistance forces from across Mobius to attack Robotnik's regime. But the council had a contingency plan. They're going to nuke the city. Sonic's gut got the better of him before he could call off the attack. A loud rumbling shook the base, and a bright light washed over the top side of the city. Every Resistance Mobian that was out there preparing for the attack was killed in an instant. The Chaos Council destroyed their own city. When everyone reemerged from the rubble, Rebel attempted to rally back her troops. Still, Sonic snapped, calling her out on her pathetic leadership and willingness to sacrifice people for nothing but a palm tree. Sorry. Sonic, Nine, and Renegade, after calming down Sonic, stormed the Chaos Council's headquarters. It's there Chaos Sonic makes his debut in the best way possible, kicking Sonic's butt left, right, and center, and even racing Sonic around New York. Thanks to some quick thinking from Nine, Renegade, and Sonic, Chaos Sonic was reduced to scrap. Nine commented that Chaos Sonic's mask kind of reminded him of his favorite band, If You Know, You Know. I keep making the joke that Chaos Sonic and the Alphas in Season 3 have a Daft Punk looking head. For those of you who don't know who Daft Punk is, go and look them up. Yeah, they're a good band. Nine and Sonic returned to the Dead Hill with Shadow, who was very pissed off that Sonic brought one of the quote-unquote soulless phantoms back to their world. Not like it was already screwed enough, though. After some back and forth, Nine and Sonic went on a small quest to get the shards back. But while Shadow was guarding the Dead Hill, the Chaos Council once again showed up, this time in Sonic's home universe. Nine was also plotting against Sonic in a way by already preparing his home in the Grim. He wanted to start over, whereas Sonic wanted to keep everything the way it was supposed to be. Both were driven by the fear of them being erased, and in all honesty, one couldn't blame them. They wanted to exist, but simultaneously, they had to fix everything else. Hang on. They had to exist. They wanted to exist, but but simultaneously, to fix everything else, one had to be brushed aside. When the Prism Shards were back together, Sonic and Shadow finally fought back against the Chaos Council and even tried to bring back Green Hill, but only for a moment due to Nine's scheming. Sonic's heart was aching as he fought back against the Chaos Council's newest weapon, a titanic prismatic version of Dr. Eggman. With Nine's help, Sonic unlocked the Prism charged form and defeated the Titan Eggman in a single blow. The victory was short-lived, and Nine made his intentions known. Sonic did not want to fight back, as he still held on to the idea that Nine was Tails. Nine destroyed the Prism again and returned to the Grim to plan his endgame. Now, it's with Season 3 that I kind of just rushed to the end because my time management skills are like just non-existent. All right. Season 3. Season 3 starts like its official version. Nine betrayed Sonic and Shadow and left them to die on the dead hill. After seeing the apparitions of his friends ascend into the void, After seeing the apparitions of his friends ascend into the void, still blissfully unaware of their current situation, it tore Sonic's heart to shreds to see Tails' apparition quickly ascend into oblivion, never to be seen again. It was on that day a part inside Sonic died. His sadness was replaced by anger. His sadness was replaced by anger. He and Shadow escaped the dead world and made it to the Grim, where Nine was enacting his endgame. Nine would realize too late that he would need Sonic's prismatic energy to finish the Paradox Prism and reshape the Grim into his own image. After a semi-flawless victory against Nine's newest Prism-based creation, the Alpha Grim Sonic, essentially a Mecha Chaos Sonic, Nine creates the rest of the Alpha Squad. Those are mechanized versions of Amy, Rouge, Knuckles, and Thorn's giant bird. Surprisingly, no Tails mech, which was weird. After Shadow forcefully threw Sonic out of the Grim, despite being outnumbered, Sonic managed to get to New York City, hoping that at least someone was still alive, and his prayers were answered. All the Shatterspace residents gathered in the Chaos Council's headquarters, but since Nine was now this giant floating head, he could predict their every move. Sonic was ridiculed by some of the residents who figured that they couldn't trust Nine, but they also put Mangy and Sails in cages because if Nine could so easily turn on everyone and destroy the universe, why not two other Tails variants? This broke Sonic's heart further, and he began to try to suppress his feelings. But with Nine's betrayal and Shadow's sacrifice, on top of seeing the phantoms of his friends willingly ascend into oblivion, he couldn't take it anymore. He collapsed on his knees and began to cry, which confused the hell out of everyone first. But even from a different dimension, the Eggmen knew when to leave Sonic alone. The reason why is so that they can have deniability to see their nemesis break down like a child. Sonic's emotional state was just too broken. He had to take the back seat for a while. Rebel tried to take charge, but was shut down by Thorn, backed up by Rusty and Black Rose. Since the Amy variants had an uncanny ability to sense Sonic's feelings and take charge accordingly, they reminded Rebel that the last time she did something like this, half her world died. Thorn directed everyone into preparing to save any other Shatterspace resident still in the crumbling realities to take them back to New York. But then Sonic muttered that the only choice they have is to get back to the Grim. They need to save who they can and get back to the Grim, save Shadow, and stop Nine. But even the illustrious Captain Dread Knuckles knew when Sonic should step down. He was so focused on saving everyone that he should learn to save himself at times. And right now, Sonic's crumbling emotional state was what Sonic needed to get a hold of at the moment. Suddenly, Sonic was trapped in his own mind. The world froze around him, and he saw Nine. Nine commended Sonic on getting everyone into one place, making it easier for him, but also, surprisingly, agreed with Dread. If Sonic was focused on saving himself, he wouldn't be in this mess. At least Shadow knew that better than anyone. When Sonic came to, he slammed his head on the window repeatedly, trying not only to get himself back together, but to at least feel something, anything but the stress he was already drowning in. But all he wanted right now was for everything to stop, to return to normal. But most of all, he wanted Tails. He wanted his brother back. He wanted all his friends back. And after his frenzy, he calmed down enough to realize he was stuck in a cage tied down with a rope next to Mangy and Sails. The Shattered Space residents tied him down because at this point, Sonic was too erratic and crazed to do anything. The Eggmen plotted a course to the Grim, and Black Rose had just brought Batten and Catfish back from no place. They were going to attack Nine. Dread and Thorn stopped by Sonic's cage to reassure him that after all he's done for the Shattered Space residents, it's high time that they repaid the favor. They were going to kill Nine. Mangy and Sails tried to calm along, but with the distrust going around, they were forced to stay with Sonic. The three managed to break out and join the fight, but it was far too late. The Shattered Space residents couldn't lift a finger against the grim armada that Nine had amassed, and Shadow was of no help either. He was fighting waves upon waves of Grimbots, and his lack of helping the Shattered Space residents led to their downfall. Mangy and Sails took cover to do what they could in terms of their skill set, while Sonic confronted Nine himself. After saving Shadow, Nine was growing frustrated. Sonic just didn't know when to stay the hell down. In his current state, Nine was very pissed off. The Shadow Space residents did nothing but to do exactly that, just piss him off. And now with Sonic in the mix, helping Shadow while Mangy and Sails are doing their own thing, Nine was growing desperate. After Sonic and Shadow destroyed the Grimbots, Nine enacted a plan he would otherwise have thought twice about. Considering all the corruption in the prison that was messing with his head, he used the Alphas to set up a perimeter. And after fighting off the Shadow Space residents, Nine destroys them with a disintegration wave that catches everyone, almost everyone. Half of Dread's crew, the Resistance, and the Scavengers were caught in the blast. No trace of them was left. Mangy was left to paw at Sails' mechanical arm. Black Rose was left in tears over Rusty's strewn parts and Thorn's broken hammer, and Dread could not believe that half his crew was all gone. Rebel was the last one left of her whole army. Sonic couldn't take it anymore. Shadow tried to get him back up, but Sonic pushed him away. All he wanted was his friends, his real friends back. This statement pushed Nine over the edge and angrily descended back down to Sonic's level. If Sonic wanted his real friends, so be it. Nine raised his hand and a prison portal opened, and from said portal were the phantoms of Tails, Amy, Knuckles, and Rouge. Sonic's heart effectively stopped. He didn't think Nine would do this. He didn't want to believe Nine would do this. Nine later expressed that after Sonic just let them die when he caused the Shatter events, it was high time his friends took their revenge. He let the now Phantom Team Sonic attack their former comrades. Sonic had a hard time fighting, mostly because he didn't want to fight his friends. And even from what Mangy, Rebel, Dread, and Black Rose saw, Sonic cared deeply about his friends. So much so that he just stood there and took it. Even Shadow pulled his punches against Rouge. Rebel wanted to intervene, but Dread stopped her. This was Sonic's fight. Despite her protest that she can't just let Sonic get pummeled out there, Dread reminded her that Sonic's crew was Sonic's problem. It was Sonic's fight. Right now, they had a clear shot to the prism, and they can snatch it under Nine's nose. Back with Sonic, he and Shadow were losing badly. As Sonic was getting the crap kicked out of him, his mind flashed to a vision of Tails, who looked like he was in a very rude mood. He cursed out Sonic for destroying the multiverse and even replacing him with Nine. He continued to berate his best friend He continued to berate his best friend till a point where Sonic's sadness was just replaced by nothing but pain, anger, and regret. Sonic lashed out against the Phantom Sonic team and was stuck in this anger-filled frenzy, which resulted in him destroying the Phantoms entirely. He calmed down to see Tails in a chokehold. He dropping the Phantom as his best friend. He looked at Shadow, who was chasing down Nine with the rest of the Shatterspace Space residents. Sonic quickly gave chase, and everyone got Nine in a corner. Nine fought desperately, but after Sonic managed to get through to Nine, Nine slowly began to realize what he's done. But Shadow wouldn't let him off so easily. He took Nine and threw him down the large monolith that he built from the Grimm's hexagonal structures. Not wanting to cause any more bloodshed, Sonic saved Nine, and the two ended up on their backs. Nine later began to sob after looking at a photo Sonic dropped, later lamenting that all he wanted to be was Sonic's best friend. It's all he ever wanted to be. Sonic couldn't keep himself together. Both he and Nine hugged each other and cried. Shadow and the other residents tried to put the prison back together, and with great success. The multiverse began to repair itself, and those who were dead were returned back to life. But Sonic was dragged into the prison with Shadow, and the two came back to Green Hill Zone just moments before Sonic destroyed the prison. With newfound courage and the swelling happiness of seeing his friends back, he defeated Eggman and sent him packing. Shadow took the Paradox Prism and relocated it to a secret gun facility, while Sonic broke down in front of his friends who were kind of concerned about Sonic's well-being. Later that day, Sonic was about to explain his adventures in the Shatterverse when, out of the blue, the shockwave of the Shatter event happened again, and the Chaos Council returned to destroy Sonic's world. And that's the end of the fan-made Season 3. Now, since Season 3 was like the most rushed in terms of ending, and to make up for it, I held a community post vote that said the rewrite of Sonic Prime that I have might end in Season 3. Should I give my cliff notes of the fan-made Season 4 or wait till next year? Now, 20% of you said yes, 0% of you said no, and 80% of you said, what the fuck is a Season 4? So I'm taking it as a yes. I only have 4 cliff notes, funny, for Season 4. I'll explain more in the... Yeah, I'll explain more in another community post about my original ideas. So, obviously, from Season 3, the Chaos Council returns to destroy Sonic's world. Blaze, Cream, and Cheese return for the first time in forever to help the Sonic cast. Nine and Tails get a character arc for themselves, and Sonic comes to terms with now having his friends know the multiverse exists. So, and in terms of when this takes place in Sonic canon, I remember a Twitter post where Ian Flynn said this takes place sometime after Sonic Advance 3, because one of the flashbacks was a callback to Sonic Advance 3 with Tails and Sonic going up against Eggman's little roller thing in Green Hill Zone. And for me, I am thinking this takes place sometime after Sonic Frontiers because, well, if I remember correctly, Sonic Frontier... Yeah. This came out almost the same time at... Yeah, the whole series came out shit, I need to get my thoughts together. Here, I'm gonna look it up real quick. Sonic November 8th, 2022. Oh, so I was right. So, in terms of release date, I put it in terms of canonicity. Sonic Frontiers was released on November 8th, 2022. Meanwhile, Sonic Prime debuted December 15th, 2022. So this does, in my opinion, take place after Sonic Frontiers, meaning Sonic was, I wouldn't say at the peak of his power, because, well, obviously there's the alternate ending with Supersonic 2 and all that. Still haven't unlocked that ending yet. Yeah. Maybe one of these days I could do like a whole staying up all night playing Sonic Frontiers and getting to that alternate ending with Supersonic 2, because I think that might be the most powerful form right under Hyper, which has never seen the light of day ever again. But yeah, I guess that pretty much does it. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you did happen to enjoy it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, share with your friends, and we are almost at 500 subscribers. Last I checked, we are at 435. We are doing so good. I honestly can't wait till we hit 500 now. And if you've also seen my other community posts, I've got a job. I'm getting paid bi-weekly, and yeah, I might get a VR set sooner or later, and I think I might need help figuring out the whole avatar, the whole uploading an avatar shit, and just basic controls and other stuff. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see all of you in the next video. Bye bye.